Hi there, I'm Bhushan. In this session, we are going to see how to call REST API of and Power BI and how to render Power BI reports. So we will start with Power BI first. This is the workspace which I have already created. Name is workspace 1 WS1. Within that, two default report, default report is there. If I click on this report, this is the this is how it looks, and this is the workspace ID in URL. This is the report ID. Okay, and this one is dataset ID. If you click on that in URL, you will get the dataset ID, group ID, report ID, everything. So I have collected this data in this sticky note. This is the dataset ID, okay, and report ID and group ID. Now, one important thing is in workspace, sorry, in this setting admin portal, what I did is in target setting, to go to option called as developer setting, and here you can specify the Azure Active Directory group, or you can select the entire organization. So there is no restriction of group. You can create group, otherwise you can use the entire organization operation. Second option here, allow service principal to use Power BI API, enabled for entire organization. Allow service principal to create and use profile, I have enabled it for entire organization. You can restrict it. Similarly, admin API setting is there. Allow service principal to use read-only admin APIs, I have enabled, and I have specified one of the Azure group, Azure Active Directory group. Within Azure Active Directory, you have a provision to create group, and there you can include users. Ultimately, group represent bunch of users. Okay, this is all about the tenant setting, which is in admin portal, and admin portal you can see in settings. This is one thing. Second is in workspace we have a access uh, button, and within that access button I have used this app as a service principal. I have added it. To add it, let's write few 2-3 letters of your app, and you will see the app IDs. Similarly, users, yes, you can also see user email IDs. So you can add admin, member, contributor email ID, or if you are using service principal approach, then service principal name is nothing but the app name. So just write the app name here. Okay, so here I have added the app name. So as you can see here in access, I have few users and app act as a service principal. Now after that, after this Power BI thing, here Power BI thing is over, and we will render this report in our web page. Okay, this report will be rendered in web page. So how the flow will be there? So flow is simple. Let me show you the flow. So in this diagram, as you can see, or we will start with access token first. Okay, so by using such kind of request in Postman, we will create a request object, post it, and we will get a access token. I will tell you in brief where actually the request will be posted. So as soon as you get the access token, this access token will be used, and we will create one more token which is called as an embedded token. Now, why access token and why embedded token? So you know that the role part, okay, is included in access token, while embedded token contain the Power BI related uh, metadata. Okay, so in access token, the Azure metadata you can say, or role related metadata, because in Azure, if you remember, we have a tenant setting, tenant read and tenant read write. So these are the roles, okay, or the scope you can say. So that is included in this access token, while in Power BI uh, we have the report, we have the dashboards, okay. So this kind of metadata is there, uh, workspace data, data set, and report, and their embedded URLs and all that. So embedded token is required for getting the Power BI metadata. While a role, it is actually Azure side, okay. Azure, you can say Azure Active Directory, and there we have there is a permission, there is API permission option, and there we have defined some roles. So yeah, access token hold the roles, and we will see that embedded token actually hold the Power BI related metadata. And now after you get this embedded token, the third thing is how to use that. So using access token, we have created embedded token, and using now embedded token, we are going to use that embedded token, okay. So how we will use? So there is a postman uh, request where you can use embedded token. I will show you that one also. And this is a .js file, okay. This is a .js file. So using, so in that .js file we will use this embedded token. As you can see here, okay, this is the embedded URL, and this is access token. It is not actually access token, it's actually embedded token. Keep in mind, this is embedded token, okay. This is not the access token, okay. So let's move. I'm going to discuss is how to get the access token. So this is the URL, login microsoft.com, then this is the tenant ID, and then OAuth2 v2.0 and token. As soon as you click here, you will get the access token, okay. Use now what this access token contain and how to detect. So we have a website for that which will decode this access token. So as you can see this jwt.io, what I will do, I will simply paste the access token, and you can see here there are the roles associated, okay, and those roles were defined in Azure. So that these roles, okay, were defined in Azure. So these roles are accessible, or these are embedded inside this access token. Now after this access token, after we receive this access token, what we do is, the second request is to generate the embedded token. For that you have to write bearer in authorization header, and we will simply paste the, I will remove the old access token, okay, and will paste newer one, okay, and then I will say this is the post request for generate token. Now I have received the token, okay, and to this. Okay, now what this thing contain is the body, and that body says that okay, I have a dataset ID, and for this report ID and for this dataset ID generate a token. So this token is specially made for this report and this dataset only. Okay, that's why, and it's a Power BI related thing. So for this report and for this dataset generate, we are generating a token, we have generated a token. Okay, that's why in body you see the report and dataset, in header you see the access token, because with the help of access token only you can generate the embedded token. Now once I get this embedded token, okay, I can use this embedded token like this. I have a URL web API WABI India Central Primary Redirect Analysis Windows Net Explore Reports, ID of report, and then this models and exploration question mark, I mean the query parameter, preferred read only session equal to true, and skip query data equal to true. Note it down so that you can also fire the query. Then I am using this token with the prefix embed token and one space and this token, and if I hit, I can see, I will just pull it out in Notepad++. You can see here all the data related to that particular report. Okay, everything is there, everything is there. All the metadata of that report is now here. Yeah, you can access it like this. One more thing, where is the embedded URL? Okay, so again I'm going back to that access token part. This is the access token. Take it out again, copy it in my fourth request here also. Same access token I am using. Again here no body, okay, because I am specifying in this get request that for this particular workspace how many reports are there, I want that data. Okay, now in this embedded token, in this request, get request, we have used embedded token prefix, and it gave us all the data of this particular report. Okay, all data of this particular report, because this embedded token was created just for this report, so we will get embedded data for this report only. Similarly, in fourth request, we are not using any embedded token. Okay, it will automatically generate it based on this access token. It will first generate token. Okay, that will be a silent process, you will not able to see this process. Okay, so based on this access token, our embedded token will be generated, and from that embedded token, for this particular workspace, how many reports are there will be displayed like this. Okay, here you can see that for this particular workspace how many reports are there, and what are their web URLs, what are their embedded URLs, what is the difference between web URL and embedded URL, you can see here. Okay, uh, here is some kind of token is also associated, which is under the name config. Okay, and this embedded URL is very important. You have to use this embed, you can use this embed URL and you can display the web page in your browser. So we will see how that works. But first of all, this Postman 4 queries, those should be working in working state, and then only we will jump to some other language, and we will implement the same scenario, same Postman request there may be Java, it may be .NET, it may be Python, it may be anything. But these 4 URL should be in working state. So I'm now switching to Eclipse. What I did here, I will first explain. I have a class. I have a class here. Okay, I have given some name Office 365 Authenticator. It's not necessary. You can give it any name. Okay. Then there are a few variables I have set. We'll discuss them as soon as I come to that particular methodology for that particular function. Whenever I arrive to that function, I will explain with the respective variables. So this is the main method. In main method, I'm creating an instance of this class. Okay, I have some uh, parameters like grant type, then client ID, then client secret. These are some parameters which I have to pass to a particular URL. So I have collected all this scope. So these parameters are nothing but in your Postman, if you see the access token body, sorry, in body you can see the form data. Okay, client ID, scope. So this data actually client ID, scope, grant type, client secret, I have used it in a I have aggregated them in post param. This variable is there. Then I need a URL, this URL, post URL. So I have specified this post URL and I have specified the post param, and I call this function get access token response. This is the method. So as soon as you click on send, you get a access token, right? Similarly here also same thing will happen. First of all, I have created a URL object with the help of web service URL, whichever you have passed here, login microsoftonline.com. Then this is the tenant ID, then OAuth2, v2.2 and token. So this web service URL I created a URL object, then I created a HTTP URL connection. Okay, based on this URL, post is the request method. As soon as I also use do output true, so that I should get the response returned by the URL. As soon as access token, okay, uh, this is how the access token is retrieved. After you get the access token, I will map it with a class which is access token model I have created. I will show you the class first. So this is access token model class. Okay, and this class is created just to read the token JSON, because that JSON we got, and we have to map it with some uh, Pojo object. So this is a model class. Once you map it to a model class, the next part is we will get the access token. We will retrieve the access token property. We have 4 different properties here: token type, expire scene, and access token. So we will get the access token. We will pass this access token to our next method, get embedded token response. Now what that method is, similar to this one. Okay, again we have a web service URL as that of in our Postman. Second request, this is the URL to generate the embedded token. So the same URL is passed here. Okay, you can see here itself when you call this function. Okay, this is the web server URL to generate token, and it is passed. Okay, after you pass this URL, you have to specify authorization, bearer, and access token. Here you will use the access token, the third parameter, access token. And to set the body like dataset ID and report ID, I have used this JSON object. Okay, what I did, I created just like the body which I have created. What I need is ID, its a value, it's a key value pair, ID and its value, it's key value pair. Keep it inside dataset array. Keep it inside dataset array. So this is what I did here. ID value, I kept it inside a dataset ID object, and I created a collection of JSON object. Okay, and within that collection, in the first place, at the zeroth index, I put this object DSID. Okay, similarly I have created one more collection for keeping the report ID. So this is a report ID and report value, and this become one object. There may be several objects. To keep this object inside a collection, I created a collection, and within that collection I set this report object at the first index. After this, body is created, and I put these both collection inside the one more JSON object. Okay, so this is collection 1, this is collection 2, and these two collections are kept inside one more parent object, you can say. Okay, now this object is used as a body, and it is passed. As soon as you pass it, you get a response code. Okay, it should be 200. That means your request is successfully delivered and you got the successful response. To read that response, here is a while loop. To read the response, here is the while loop. In that while loop, again we get a JSON, just like the Postman. In Postman, as we received, we have a context, then token ID, and then expiration. Here also we have received a JSON and we have mapped it using object mapper class. We have mapped the incoming JSON into a class embed token. So I will show you how that embed token class looks like. See here, you got a @odata.context. That's why I have written odata.context. You got token, I have written token. You got token ID, I have also written token ID. You got expiration, I have also got written expiration. Okay, @present at the first property only, don't use it other places. You got the object. Okay, out of that I'm interested in token part, so I have got the separate out this token and I returned token. So this function returns you token, in short. As soon as you get token, after access token you got this embedded token. Now how to use that access token and embedded token? See here, I have written one more see one more call, and it is equivalent to your this fourth call, generate token. Here I am using the access token bearer and this particular uh, URL. Okay, or instead you can use, yeah, this particular URL where I am trying to extract all the reports of this particular workspace, all the reports, okay, of this particular workspace. So URL is now changed. Okay, in first place we were having a URL to retrieve the access token. At second place we are having we are having URL of generating the embedded token, and now the third URL is to extract the list of reports. So we will go back to this report URL response, and let's see what that function contain. That function also have the same uh, code. Here also we have a header authorization with prefix value bearer and access token. Content type is application JSON. We have a web server URL. We hit the URL. Here no body is there. Okay, so no need to create that JSON object and all that. Okay, and you get a response. If it is 200, that means you got something, which is similar to this fourth one. Okay, here you have a embedded URL and web URL. So output of this third function is you got a embedded URL. So here is I have one more class to map the JSON response. Here I can extract the O data and value. As you can see in this postman, O data and value. And that value is itself again contain an object. So this value is of type report entity array. So again one more class report entity array, and here you will see all the response which I have in JSON format. I can map it or it get mapped in report entity. Okay, you may get one, you may get two, you may get three reports in your value property depending on how many it returns you. So that's why it is an array. So you can use value square bracket 0 to read the specific report or all the reports. So as soon as I get it, I will return the whole array, report entity array, from this third function. Okay. Once I get it, as you know, it returns an array of report entity. For I will use a for each loop. I will get each report object, and each report object have an embedded URL. Right now I have just used, I know because it contain only one, so I just use the one URL, one object, string object. You may use the collection also, string collection, a string array. You get the embedded URL. Now up to this time I have access token, then I have embedded token, and now I have embedded URL. So these are the three pillars. Okay, you need access token to get embedded token, you need access token to get the embedded URL. Then what is the use of this embedded token now? So we will see this. This embedded token is very important. Till this time access token was important to retrieve embedded token as well as to retrieve the embedded URL. But now onward you need embedded token and not the access token. I have created some script text. As you can see here, I have created a script, okay, in few variables. So this is a script where I have defined where is my different files For this Power BI min.js is required, Bootstrap min.js is required, jQuery min.js required, and there is one more special file, index pbi.js file, which is yet not created. It will get created dynamically for each request. Okay, then there is a one part header section. Okay, there is one more part HTML section where a div or section ID is defined, and there in this section only report will be displayed. Then we have a script, PBI script, and here you can say that even if the name is access token, don't pass access token, pass embedded token. Here is a embedded token and pass the embedded URL which you have already got it. Like this one is the embedded token, this is the embedded URL. You have to use these two things here, and this script will be created. Then what I will do, I will use some folder, and I will create a file, indexpbi.js file. In this indexpbi.js file, I will write this portion, PBI script portion only. So I have created an indexpbi.js file. Okay, if it exists, delete it and recreate it. Okay, and use the file output stream and use this PBI script and write this portion only in this file indexpbi.js. So that file will be dynamically generated based on the access token, based on the embedded token, and based on the embedded URL. This portion will be copied in this file. Okay, and this file will be generated. Rest of the sections like header section and HTML sections and footer section and end tag, exclude the PBI script because it is already written somewhere else. So these four sections are now appended in the string builder and have written it. Okay, and why I returned it, I tell you. You can directly use response dot get output stream dot print to directly flash it on the browser, or you can add it in some index pbi.js where access token and embedded URL will be stored. Create one more file, wrapper file, where no credential information will be stored, no access token related information will be stored. Instead, we will call index pbi.js file. Okay, so in this way we have these two files created, and now it can check whether this works or not. So what I used to do is I always execute, then I copy this content, okay, to this file. Okay, and you don't need to copy it because it will be regenerated every time. Let's say I again execute it, this file is created. That's why it says that do we want to reload it, and now you can see here some change you saw. So that's why this file is generating every time, and this file is always remains static. Okay, or you just copy it once and no need to change it again. Now using our Apache Tomcat, I will browse this web page. You can see here the report is now embedded. And why it is? Because index pbi.jsp, as we have seen, index pbi.jsp is actually referring to index pbi.js, and index pbi.js contain access token, that is the embedded token, and an embedded URL. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you.